Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me online as we do another arts and crafts demo session. Today, we are going to make sugar scrubs. And the thing I like the best about sugar scrubs is at the very basic level, you usually have most of the things that you need to make it around your house already. There are different ways that you can make it, different combinations that you can use, but at its very basic level, all you really need to make a good sugar scrub is white sugar and some kind of a carrier oil. So today, the sugar scrubs that we are going to make, we are going to be using just plain white sugar that you can get at any grocery store. I am going to be using coconut oil for mine. I especially like coconut oil because it has sort of a silkier feeling to it and a slight scent. Even the unscented coconut oil has a nice scent to it. We will talk a little bit later about pros and cons for different types of oils that you can use. I'm also going to be using some fragrance. So this is cotton candy fragrance oil. You can use fragrance oils that you can purchase on Amazon or through some crafting websites, or if you have essential oils, some of them can be used as well. Since this isn't something that we're going to be ingesting, they don't have to be food grade oils, but you do want to make sure it's something that is safe to have on your skin, because this oil, while it will be in very small amounts, will come in contact with your skin. So you want to make sure it's something like a lavender oil. You can actually use vanilla extract if you like the smell of vanilla. So you want to make sure if you're using an oil of any kind to give it a scent, that it is something that is safe to have on your skin. I like these fragrance oils because they are often used for making soaps and candles. So I know that those are going to be safe for me to be around. The other thing I'm going to use to make my scrub today are colorants. Now, I have seen other people say that they use food color and it's just fine. I prefer not to use food color because it stains my skin and I don't want to run the risk of my sugar scrub staining my skin when I use it. So what I am using today, these are 2 bottles of colorant that are soap colorant, and that way I know that they are skin safe. They're not going to stain my skin or anything. I purchased these on Amazon as well. So it's really very, very easy to make sugar scrub. You do want to make sure that you have a container to use that has a lid. So I have this little plastic container. I've also used baby food jars. These types of containers can be purchased online at Amazon or Michael's. You can use mason jars. You can use any kind of a container that's going to have a lid, because we are going to want to be able to open and close our sugar scrub after it is made. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have sort of a medium-sized mixing bowl. Here is my mixing bowl here. And in my mixing bowl, I have about 1 cup of plain white sugar. And to that, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add my colorant and my fragrance. So depending on what kind of a fragrance oil you use, this one's pretty strong. It's cotton candy. So I won't need a whole lot. I think I'm just going to put maybe like 6 or 7 drops in, and that should be good. You don't have to put any kind of a scent in it at all. I just think it's a nice added thing that you can do. Same thing with the colorant. You don't have to put colorant in it. It just kind of gives it a nice look if you do. So I'm going to put a couple of drops of blue and a couple of drops of red. And hopefully we'll get kind of a nice purple color for my cotton candy sugar scrub. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the oil. So I've got about a 1/2 cup of melted coconut oil. You don't have to fully melt it. It does make it harder to mix if it is not in a fully liquefied form, but that is okay. you can get your hands in there and kind of knead it the way you would dough. I also have another half a cup or so of sugar on reserve in case I get the mixture too wet. Then I can add additional sugar to it until I get it at a consistency that I like it. So we're going to start by just pouring some of this oil right into the bowl with our sugar and colorant and fragrance oil. And then we're just going to mix it with a regular old spoon. You don't have to be fancy. I just have sort of a soup spoon in here. And you're going to see it's going to take on kind of a crumbly consistency, and the color is a little patchy. You just want to keep stirring it until, if you put color in there, it seems like it's a uniform color. Or if you're not using colorant, you do want it to be sort of a rough consistency. Because remember, the idea for a sugar scrub is that it's going to exfoliate our skin and take off any of the dead cells. So we want it to be scratchy. We don't want it to be overly smooth. So this is sort of what mine is looking like right now. I'm going to go ahead. I only had put in about half of the oil I had reserved. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the rest of my oil and see what the consistency is like, and then add more sugar based on that. The oil helps the color mix through the sugar a little bit easier and the fragrance, but then it can be a little bit too wet. So this right now is about half a cup of melted coconut oil and 1 cup of sugar. And you can see the color has mixed in nicely, but it is a little bit wet in consistency. It's still a little runny. So I'm going to add just a little bit of my reserved sugar and continue to mix this till it gets a little bit rougher consistency. And you just add it in small doses because you don't want to dump it all in and then have to melt more oil. All right, so we're mixing. This looks like a pretty good consistency now. It's sort of like sand or a paste. So when you drag your spoon across the surface of it, it does kind of make a smooth swipe, but you can still see the granulation of the sugar. So it's not completely dissolved inside the oil. This is about the consistency that we want. So now we're ready to put our sugar scrub into our container with a lid. And you just want to spoon it in there. So you can see I'm just kind of spooning it in. So I used probably about 1 1/3 cup of sugar total and about half a cup of melted coconut oil. And you can see it made about an 8-ounce jar of sugar scrub. So now you want to just put your lid on your sugar scrub and you're ready to go. You can give this as a gift. You can use it for yourself. I made these for some of the people that work at the library for the holidays, and I got lots of good feedback that it made their skin feel really great. So that's one of the things I really like about using coconut oil. Now, I mentioned there are plus and minuses to using different kinds of oil. Coconut oil, the positives are it leaves your skin feeling really silky and smooth, and I think it smells very good. The negative side of using coconut oil is at room temperature, coconut oil is a solid. So if I were to take this sugar scrub and just set it in my bedroom, for example, the oil in the mixture is going to solidify and make it a little bit harder to get the scrub out of the container when you want to use it. So it will be almost like a candle consistency, like a very, very grainy candle. But if you store your sugar scrub in the bathroom, the coconut oil will stay kind of melted just from the humidity from your bath or your shower. So I don't have a problem using the coconut oil because I feel like if you store it in the bathroom, it's going to be perfectly usable. However, some people might not like that they have to store it in the bathroom, or they might not like the appearance of it when it's more solidified. So you can also use mineral oil, which you would have to purchase right now on the internet. I have done this using mineral oil. It also leaves you feeling nice and smooth. It doesn't have as silky of a texture. It feels a little bit more oily as opposed to silky, in my opinion, and it doesn't have any kind of scent. So I would probably recommend, if you're going to use mineral oil, at least put some vanilla extract or something light in your sugar scrub just to give it a little bit of a scent. You can also use olive oil. I have done that before. Olive oil doesn't stay mixed as nicely, so you have to remix your sugar scrub every time you use it, which is fine. Some olive oil also has a very strong smell that might not necessarily be what you would want your skin to smell like. So I would once again recommend using some kind of a fragrance for making sugar scrub if you're using olive oil. So that's it. It's super easy. That is how you make sugar scrub. Like I said, at the very basic level, all you need is white sugar and some type of an oil to carry that sugar and make it the mixture. Anything you do on top of that in terms of colorant or scent is a nice added bonus, but it's not absolutely necessary. You can also make sugar scrubs for your lips to exfoliate your lips. If you do it for your lips and you want to put a fragrance in it, I would make sure that you're using food grade oils for that. So you want to use either food grade essential oils or oils that are used for like making candy or something like that, because there is a chance that you would ingest some of the sugar scrub from your lips. And you want to make sure that anything you use in that is going to be food safe. But it's the same mixture, oil, fragrance, and sugar. You can just do it in a smaller container because you won't need as much of it for your lips. I am going to add into the chat here in the room a list of supplies that I used. And if you have any questions about anything, please feel free to contact me at the library. My email address is tharkleroad, that's HARKLEROAD, at bcfls.org. And thank you so much for joining me here today. Again, if you have any questions about anything, please feel free to reach out. Thanks, and have a great day.